A man walks through the ruins of New York City with nothing but a dog, a rifle, and a routine he repeats every single day just to stay sane. He hasn't heard another human voice in 3 years. He's convinced he's the last man alive on Earth. He's wrong, and what's actually out there is far more terrifying than being alone. At the beginning of the movie, we're introduced to a devastating premise. In an attempt to cure cancer and virtually every other disease, scientists reprogrammed the measles virus into a miracle treatment. It worked until it didn't. The virus mutated, spread uncontrollably, and turned nearly the entire human population into flesh-eating, light-sensitive creatures known as dark-seekers. 3 years after that outbreak wiped out civilization, we meet Robert Neville, a military virologist, and his loyal dog Sam, living alone in the ruins of New York City. With animals now roaming freely through empty streets, Robert spends his days hunting for food using Sam's instincts to track prey, weaving through abandoned cars at reckless speed simply because there's nobody left to stop him. What's genuinely unsettling isn't the empty city, it's how normal Robert tries to make his life feel inside it. Every single day follows the same structure. Hunt, cook a proper dinner, watch old recorded newscasts just to hear voices, play music while doing chores. It's a fragile, meticulously constructed illusion of a life that no longer exists. Before sunset hits, which his watch warns him about like clockwork, he rushes home, pours bleach across his doorstep to mask his scent from the dark-seekers, and barricades every door and window in the house. Then he hides in the bathtub with Sam and his weapons, listening to their growls echo through the streets outside, forced to remember exactly how this all began. We flash back to the day of the outbreak, the island being sealed off as ground zero, panic exploding through the streets. Robert is seen desperately trying to get his wife Zoe and young daughter Marley off the island to safety, an argument erupting between them when Zoe realizes Robert isn't coming, he's staying behind to search for a cure. Their conversation is violently interrupted when an infected person slams into their car window, forcing Robert to speed away. Back in the present, we watch Robert's daily routine continue his morning workout, then descending into his private basement lab, the one place Sam isn't allowed, since Robert alone is immune to the virus. Rows of infected lab rats fill his cages, each one injected with a different experimental serum. Most mutate, most die. It's the same devastating result, day after day until today, when one single rat shows something Robert hasn't seen in 3 years. Actual improvement. To move forward, he needs a human trial. A living, infected human. Robert continues his eerie daily rituals, chatting with mannequins he set up in an abandoned video store just to preserve some illusion of normal human interaction. Tending a small garden, methodically searching house after house for supplies, marking each one off on his map. Some houses are simply empty. Others hold something far more painful, like the untouched nursery he stumbles across, a quiet reminder of everything the world has lost. Every day, Robert drives through the city broadcasting the same desperate message. Any survivors should meet him at South Street Seaport, where he promises food and shelter. Nobody has ever answered. Then, while waiting near his broadcast point, Sam catches the scent of a deer and takes off running straight into an abandoned building. Robert has no choice but to follow her inside, into total darkness, exactly where dark-seekers hide from daylight. Using only a small flashlight, heart pounding, he creeps through the building, hearing distant, inhuman screeches from somewhere nearby. He refuses to leave without his dog. Eventually, he finds Sam hiding terrified beneath a desk, but not before discovering an entire nest of darkseekers huddled in the shadows nearby. He barely manages to keep his light hidden before they notice him. Just as he reaches Sam, a darkseeker feeding on a nearby animal spots them and lunges. Robert kills it instantly and sprints for the exit with Sam, but the noise has already woken the rest of the nest. Cornered and out of options, Robert makes a desperate leap through a window. The fall is brutal, but he survives by landing directly on top of one of the darkseekers chasing him, and the rest are burned away by the emerging sunlight just in time. Determined to finally get real research data, Robert sets an elaborate trap using his own blood as bait, successfully capturing a female darkseeker inside a rigged truck and canvas snare. From the shadows of the building, the pack's alpha lets out a furious, guttural roar, even risking exposure to sunlight burns just to react to what's happened to her. Back in his lab, Robert studies the captured darkseeker closely, noticing a distinct butterfly tattoo on her skin before injecting her with his latest serum. For a moment, nothing happens, then she convulses violently, screams, and flatlines completely. Robert manages to revive her with a secondary injection, but the experiment fails yet again. Frustrated beyond words, he locks her away and records another log entry, theorizing that the Darkseeker's complete lack of self-preservation, like the Alpha exposing himself to deadly sunlight, suggests their brain function is deteriorating entirely. Social devolution, he calls it, complete. It sends him spiraling back into memory once more the outbreak day. His family forced onto foot as roads shut down around them, reaching a harbor checkpoint where soldiers tested every civilian for infection. Marley passed. Zoe initially failed the test, and soldiers began dragging her away until Robert used his military rank to force a retest this time. She passed too. As an army family, they secured a rare seat on an evacuation helicopter. Before boarding, Marley made one final gesture to her father, forming a butterfly shape with her hands right before the helicopter lifted off without him. Back in the present, we learn it's actually Robert's birthday, a fact he ignores completely, sticking to his routine. While driving through the city, he spots something that stops him cold. A mannequin near the bridge that he never placed there himself. Convinced he's finally losing his grip on reality, he shoots it down in a panic, triggering a hidden trap. A rigged car plummets off the bridge, yanking Robert violently upside down by rope, slamming his head hard enough to knock him unconscious as blood pools beneath him. This is the moment that changes everything. He wakes just as the sun is setting, forced to cut himself free and drag his injured body toward his car as the Darkseeker Alpha unleashes 3 infected dogs to hunt him down in the dying light. Robert manages to kill 2 of the creatures, but not before one viciously bites Sam. Robert finishes off the last threat, then rushes Sam straight to his lab, desperately injecting her with his serum, holding her and singing to comfort her as she deteriorates in his arms. When she finally turns and snaps at him, Robert is forced into the most devastating decision of the entire film. He has to mercy kill his only companion with his own hands. Robert buries Sam in the park, completely alone now in every sense of the word. Grief curdles into rage, and in a reckless, devastating breakdown, he drives back to the bridge and starts running down Darkseekers in blind vengeance. It works for a while until the horde overwhelms his car, the Alpha himself smashing through the windshield as the vehicle flips completely, trapping Robert inside as the Alpha prepares to finish him. Just as death seems certain, a blinding UV light suddenly scatters every Darkseeker in terror. Someone is coming. Before Robert can process who, he loses consciousness completely. He drifts in and out of awareness, vaguely aware of a woman's voice asking for his address before he blacks out again, this time dreaming once more of his family's helicopter, except this time, the dream reveals something new. The government detonating the bridge to fully seal the island, causing mass panic as an overloaded evacuation helicopter crashes directly into the one carrying his family. Robert wakes up on his own couch, his leg wound freshly stitched. For one disorienting moment, he thinks he's looking at his own family again. It's not. It's a woman named Anna and her young son, Ethan, the 2 strangers who saved his life. Startled and defensive, Robert nearly reaches for his gun before Anna calms him down, and the 3 of them share an oddly normal breakfast together. Anna explains they came from Maryland, following Robert's own broadcast signal to the harbor, and now they're heading toward a survivors' colony in the mountains of Vermont, a place supposedly untouched by the virus entirely. Robert doesn't believe a word of it. Convinced everyone left alive is already as good as dead, he violently throws his plate across the room before catching himself and retreating to calm down alone. When he returns, he finds Anna and Ethan casually watching Shrek, a strange, almost comforting slice of normalcy neither of them expected to find here. Robert, trying to explain his own social awkwardness after years of total isolation, quotes the film's dialogue back at them, easing the tension. As the day continues, Robert examines the trap that nearly killed him, refusing to believe the Darkseekers could be intelligent enough to build it themselves. Anna disagrees completely. She's convinced they're evolving. When Ethan complains about cold bathwater nearby, it sparks an idea in Robert: temperature. Back in the lab, he sedates his captive Darkseeker and places her on ice, hoping altering her body temperature might finally make his serum work. While exploring the lab, Anna discovers a wall covered in photographs every single previous Darkseeker test subject, all of them dead. It's the first time she and the audience fully understands just how many failed attempts led to this exact moment. That evening, as Robert prepares to seal up the house for the night, Anna makes one more attempt to convince him to leave with them for the colony. When he questions how she can possibly be certain it's real, her answer, that God told her, because he has a plan, sends Robert into a furious, grief-stricken rant, reminding her that billions of people are dead, many of them now feeding on each other's bodies. To him, that's undeniable proof there's no God watching over any of this. His outburst is cut short by strange noises outside. The Darkseekers have found them, surrounding the house entirely. Robert triggers his outdoor lighting system, but the creatures work together with disturbing coordination, smashing every light before charging the house. Left with no other option, Robert detonates buried explosives outside, wiping out most of the horde in one massive blast. But it isn't enough. As fire spreads through the streets, the Darkseeker Alpha ambushes Robert directly, brutally throwing him through furniture and walls, while another creature slips upstairs toward Anna and Ethan. In a desperate, bloody fight, Robert manages to stab the Alpha with a screwdriver, only to be hurled down a flight of stairs for his effort. Scrambling for any weapon he can find, Robert opens fire, but the Alpha dodges every shot and escapes deeper into the house. Robert triggers a gas explosion trying to stop him, but the creature narrowly survives, disappearing through a window entirely. Racing to find Anna and Ethan, Robert discovers them hiding beneath furniture as another Darkseeker tears through the ceiling above them. He barely manages to retrieve a gun in time to kill it before it reaches them, but their relief is short-lived. The Alpha has returned, and this time, he's brought the rest of the horde with him. Robert leads Anna and Ethan down into the basement lab as the horde tears through the house above, eventually breaking through the roof entirely and swarming inside. And that's when Robert notices something extraordinary happening in his lab. His test subject is actually recovering. After 3 agonizing years, he finally has a working cure. But there's no time to celebrate. The horde reaches the lab door, pounding relentlessly as Robert screams that he can save them, that this doesn't have to end in more death. Nobody's listening until the Alpha himself smashes through, strong enough to crack the reinforced door with terrifying ease. Then, in one of the film's most haunting beats, he pauses to draw a butterfly on the glass with his own claw. It's the exact same symbol as the tattoo. The exact same gesture Marley made all those years ago before the helicopter took her away forever. In that single moment, everything shifts for Robert. These creatures aren't mindless monsters. They feel, they remember, they grieve, just like he does. He lowers his weapon completely, disconnects the serum, and tells Anna to open the door, accepting that this woman belongs with her own family, watching in real time as the infection returns to her body the moment the treatment stops. He rolls her stretcher out to the horde as they growl and snarl around him, injecting her one final time to wake her up completely. The reunion between her and the Alpha is unexpectedly tender, a genuine, quiet moment of relief and love between two creatures the world had written off as monsters. Robert apologizes. The Alpha simply roars once before leading his family and his horde back out into the night, sparing Robert's life in return. The next morning, Robert finally leaves the city behind with Anna and Ethan, heading toward Vermont together. As they drive, a new broadcast plays over the radio, this time recorded in Anna's voice, inviting any remaining survivors to find their way to the colony in the mountains. And that's the full, devastating ending of one of the most emotionally gutting apocalypse films we've broken down on this channel. A story that proves that even at the absolute end of the world, the line between monster and human was never as clear as we thought. If this recap kept you hooked from that very first empty street to the final broadcast, that's exactly the kind of storytelling we bring you every single week. And if you're still scrolling without hitting subscribe after everything Robert sacrificed, you're genuinely missing out on recaps just like this landing straight in your feed. Hit that subscribe button right now and drop a comment below. Do you think Robert made the right call letting her go? Or should he have kept fighting for the cure his own way? See you in the next recap.